All right. The duo is back together. It's DAO Talk episode 11, your one-stop shop for everything DAOs. I'm Tommy.
I'm Frisson.
Let's get into it. We're back.
GM, let's fucking go.
Frisson's back from the desert. Was that the annals of fucking Idaho? Is that where you were?
Yeah,
Nevada?
I was in Idaho.
Idaho
is very deserty, but it's also full of fresh water because it has all these mountains that have a lot of snow in them, and then it melts, and then it forms all these giant rivers, including the Snake River, which is the craziest river ever. It goes it starts in northeast Idaho, and then it forms a giant U where it goes down, and then it goes all the way across Idaho, and then it goes all the way back up north to northwest Idaho, and then drains out the corner of northwest Idaho, and that's the lowest point in Idaho. It's 1,000 vert over there. Super crazy place. Very dirtbag experience. I still haven't gotten my shit together since getting back. Just been working and still, I don't know, feel like I have a dirtbag vibe. My beard is looking gnarly, but I'm back. I'm ready for DAO Talk.
Let's get into it. Yeah. Did you eat a lot of potatoes?
Yeah. A lot of potatoes. It's not just potatoes. It's crazy amounts of farming there. I feel like I shouldn't give away this alpha, but Idaho is the best prepping place ever. It has so much water and so few people. You just want to have your little backup bunker with your crypto full node and your extra food and some AR-15s. Idaho is where you want to be at.
Vision just gave away. Yeah,
but don't front run me, please.
I don't think Idaho is going to be one of those places that, it was Tampa in Florida or Miami where everyone has decided to move there. I don't think people are going to want to move to Idaho in droves. And if that happens, it's going to be months and years.
It'll be a smaller happening. Setup. I think people are doing that, but it's a much more niche set.
I don't think it'll ever be a point where it's oh, this is becoming a tourist destination. It'll always kind of have some of its charm, which I think is a reason you should move there. Every day I talk to you about the West, the more I want to move out to the West. So,
bro, I'm really doing myself dirty here about best vibes in Idaho. Banks, Idaho. One of the best towns in the West. Low-key. But for real, no cap.
All right, enough of American geography and cities. Let's talk DAOs. All right, this week we put out a tweet. We just wanted to highlight more of the community of the DAO space. So from the Tally Twitter, if you do not follow the Tally Twitter and you are a DAO Talk listener, please go follow. We have some good content there. We have great content in our opinion, but we like to engage with everyone who listens and everyone in the DAO space on that Twitter. So we put out GM Friends, who's creating a better future for DAOs, but is too humble to promote themselves. Tag them. We want to see something. And we had, I think, over 15 to 20 replies of awesome operators in the space. So if you want to go check out that thread, you can see some really awesome individual contributors if you're looking for someone to either freelance or join your DAO, or some interesting protocols that are happening in the space.
There's some really great people tagging each other and being tagged in there. Got a mean Soleimani in the mix. Guy's a legend.
You have your Nouns DAO.
Yeah, I'm about to hop in there and just follow everyone. Should do it too. Yeah, that's how you get the alpha.
Yeah, we were talking about that earlier in the week. How do you get or build a better Twitter network? It's just basically anytime you see something that you like or are looking to engage with on a topic, you follow them. And then obviously the problem is, okay, well, what if you end up not liking that person or they annoy you? You just block or mute them or unfollow them. But
yeah.
I think I agree with
more muting.
Exactly. Okay. Oh yeah. Let's go straight into something so this is being recorded on a Friday. Usually we record on a Thursday, but Tommy had some technical difficulties. So
we don't speak of Tommy's technical difficulties. It's like they didn't happen.
Exactly. If this is still in, then you have the alpha of all my technical difficulties. But between the time when we usually record on a Thursday and today, there was a pretty large proposal in the Uniswap world. Frisson, you are a little bit more up to date on this and you've listened to a lot of podcasts and articles in the past like 15 hours. So give us a little bit of a breakdown here and why it matters in regards to, DAO space and proposals.
Yeah, for real. I've been chugging the podcast this week. I don't really know why, but I have. Yeah, so some really great people actually in the DAO crypto Web3 space. Devin Walsh and then Kevin, I think NG. I don't know how you say his last name. How do you pronounce his last name? Or it's like
I think
NG?
it's Ung. Like
okay, cool.
Ung, like UNG. Ung.
Okay, cool. So
I could be wrong. Don't cancel me.
I'm gonna go with that. Devin Walsh and Kevin Ung are putting forth a proposal to form a Uniswap foundation, and basically the idea here is like, the Uniswap DAO. It's kind of like there's all these people, they own Uni, and they're all kind of like sitting around the table, or they're doing like the Spider-Man meme. Like, let's say there's an opportunity for Uni, like in the discussion forum, it's like, I think they had the opportunity to claim some like enormous amount of OP tokens during the optimism airdrop, and like no one claimed them or something. So it's like all these people are like, they're in the Uniswap DAO, and it's like, who's gonna claim the OP tokens? And that's like an easy one. And they're all just like pointing at each other, and no one does it, right? So this is like trying to form some kind of shelling point / like group that will try to like drive more actual action, because the Uniswap treasury is really big. The DAO treasury is like billions of dollars, and like they don't really do anything. So in that sense, like it's really exciting. I think a lot of Uni holders are also skeptical though, and just members of crypto Twitter, because like it's funny, everyone uses Uniswap and is like very bullish on the product, but the DAO is bizarre because like there's no source of revenue to the DAO, and it's basically only Uni tokens. So it's like this completely reflexive treasury where it's like incredibly valuable if you think the Uni token is valuable, and worthless if you think the Uni token is worthless. So it's just this like very bizarre situation. I think, a lot of people are sort of suspicious of this group, like, oh, you're just trying to co-opt the DAO, right? Raid the treasury for your own purposes. So I think a lot of people are suspicious of that as well. I think an added complication is that a lot of the people who have a lot of voting power in the Uniswap DAO are like VCs and in like people who know each other, insiders of a certain form. So, this was also sort of like a guaranteed FUD machine on Twitter as soon as it was posted. I was listening to Up Only yesterday, and Kobe was like, I'm gonna make my own proposal called Uni Only, where we change the name of the podcast to Uni Only, and then market sell all $60 million the next day. That was a terrible Kobe imitation, but like, so wow. I really hope he actually does that. I would love to see the Kobe Uniswap DAO proposal on this.
How do you think this is going to go? Do you think it's going to pass?
Yes.
Or unsure? Yeah. You think it will?
I think it will.
Do you think that's just based on the fact that like the majority of voting power is, this kind of benefits them?
Yeah, I think yes. I also think this is a good group. Like if you dig in, like Julia Rosenberg is involved, who's a phenomenal person. Like, I don't know. I think it probably will actually help the DAO. So I think it is going to pass, but I think there's going to be like just an incredible amount of FUD along the way, which should be entertaining.
Yeah, here's the advisor list right here. It's a pretty good group. It'll be interesting to see how this goes. But check that out. We'll link the proposal. The proposal's pretty long and detailed. So if you want a little more information, check that out. Check out the Up Only podcast. And let's move on. So Nouns DAO, I feel like we and everyone is pretty much talking about them right now in the space. They're kind of having a moment, as Frisson has said this week. Really interesting podcast from, is it called Pledge Allegiance or I Pledge Allegiance?
It's called I Pledge Allegiance.
DAO
Talk is the best DAO podcast, but I Pledge Allegiance, we'll give them co-best. It's really good. they're a little bit more like giga brained than Tommy and I are, and they just go like really deep into interesting DAO topics. So they did like a really good episode with Monet Supply during the like height of the Maker drama a few weeks ago, just digging into like why Maker is the way it is and how it works. So this was digging into Nouns DAO, the background of the mechanism, why it works, what the challenges are ahead, with 3 people who are like super involved. I think Punk 4156 was part of the founding team. And then maybe Undead Noun is like I think he kind of works for the DAO, is like receive some kind of compensation to like run a grants program and help coordinate stuff. And then Hong Kim, I think I don't remember their actual names, but I think he's a CTO at Bitwise, so he's just like a successful crypto person who like more recently joined Nouns DAO and has a lot of interesting thoughts. So super compelling kind of group of people. And they were very, very thoughtful about like why the Nouns mechanism works, what some of the challenges are, what their path is to scaling. So this is like, as an outsider, this was like by far the best sort of tour into the Nouns DAO, the Nouns ecosystem. It was cool because they highlighted ways you can kind of get involved even without buying a noun. Because right now buying a noun is like $100K, and that's actually on the cheaper side. Nouns are, one new noun is auctioned every day. The community is like a really strong selling point, so it's kind of like tough to get in. At one point, it was like $500,000 roughly to get in. Each noun was going for roughly that much. But they have this really cool mechanism called Prop House, where anyone can submit there's basically a certain amount of ETH that's being auctioned off, and the people who are competing with their ideas. I talked about this kind of mechanism some with Alex Von Sonda, who does governance stuff at ENS and is a long time Ethereum person. That episode's going to come out sometime in the next couple weeks. But like, it's a really interesting mechanism for sort of like stimulating new investment around nouns. And so there's a lot of really cool stuff that's been funded with Prop House, including like a new kind of governance interface / primitive for nouns called Nouns Builder. And so, it was really cool kind of digging into that. And then the team kind of talked about like, okay, how can mechanisms like Prop House, the existing Nouns Daily Auction, and other initiatives help nouns go from sort of like this very, very cool, very hip crypto thing to like a mainstream brand, which is kind of what they're going for. Super, super interesting.
Yeah, check out that podcast. I think, like you mentioned earlier, like I Pledge Allegiance goes deep on very specific DAOs and subjects in the space, and DAO Talk gives you the weekly rundown of everything you might want to dive deeper into. We'll give you a little bit of an overview of everything that's happening. And then if you are interested in a particular subject, go listen to it. But I would say like this is the single best piece of nouns explanation content I've consumed since I've heard of the project. So you're hearing directly from the source, directly from the people that have built it and are currently building it. And they do a really good job of talking pros and cons and addressing a lot of the critiques of Nouns DAO, kind of what we talked about last week with Dennison around, it is having a moment, and it seems like Nouns can do no wrong, but they are very proactive in regards to, understanding what the issues might be for Nouns DAO, in a 6, 12 year, 2-year time horizon, even farther down the line. So I definitely suggest go listening to that if you're interested in Nouns DAO, and I think you should be if you're interested in the DAO space.
One really interesting aspect of what Nouns does is everything is CC0 from a like legal perspective. So all of the intellectual property, copyright material, art around nouns is public domain, and we're seeing more projects move in that direction. So I don't know if you saw this, Tommy. You probably did. I think it was yesterday. Moonbirds, which is another one of the most prominent NFT projects, they announced that they're doing CC0 and like hinted at a DAO, which is super interesting. And I think probably, I would guess, like heavily inspired by the success that Nouns is having.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. Like, I mean, the big thing around CC0 is like, not everything should be CC0, but it is like a very interesting experiment in regards to like, public domain and how these projects are going to, grow long term when everything else is in the public domain. I don't know. I don't know. What are your thoughts on CC0 as like as a whole?
I don't know.
I know that's like a very like loaded question.
I feel like I'm not kind of like the expert on NFTs, like art, copyright law, any of that stuff. I think there's a lot of people who are better than me. I think it's very crypto native, right? So we talk about this with DAOs. DAOs are like inherently extra legal entities. Like they're just groups of people doing stuff together on the blockchain. Like they're not inherently sort of like baked into the legal system in the way starting a company is. Like starting a company is sort of like companies exist by sort of like, definition, right, in the legal system. And so when you create a DAO, then you have to like figure out how to sort of like make it work from a legal perspective. But what's happening is inherently like scalable and not like limited, but also not benefited in any way by the legal system. And I think that's true of like NFTs too, right? Like, and so in that sense, intuitively to me, CC0 is sort of like a very scalable method that is aligned with how crypto works. But obviously that comes with a variety of drawbacks as well.
Yeah, for sure. I think like a lot of these topics, we just need time to like see how it plays out and not more thought pieces around, like it kind of goes to the DAO ecosystem as a whole. It's like we need less thought pieces and less talk about DAOs and more building DAOs and more doing shit. And then let's see how that plays out over 6-month, year-long time horizon, and then we can regroup, analyze, address, and fix it instead of just like writing about it. But again, like writing is easy, talking is easy, action and building is not. So we'll see how it goes. All right, moving on. Not boring article. Pretty big one this week. Got a lot of traction. I think it had to do with timing with the proof of work Ethereum fork that tried to take off. That was fucking stupid. But a awesome piece from the Not Boring team. Packy McCormick teamed up with Luca Prosperi and David Phelps at Divine Economy on Twitter talking about forking and just like Frisson first reply right there. Yeah, give us a little bit of like we don't have to go too deep on this, but because I want people to actually read the article, I think we would do it a disservice to try to give like a 2 to 3 minute like synopsis and you'd say not read it on the podcast, but talk a little bit about Go Fork Yourself, which is the title of the article.
Yeah. So first of all, if you haven't read, so really interesting collab here between Packy and then David Phelps, who's like one of the most interesting DAO thinkers and builders, and then Luca Prosperi, who famously is part of that like maker DAO drama that cropped up a few weeks ago. Really interesting crew, very knowledgeable, and also like elite writers. So very entertaining read. Yeah, Packy's really good, and like I know David is too because I read a ton of his stuff. Also very giga-brained. Like I don't know Luca as well, but like I read Packy and David Phelps all the time, and they're both sort of like giga optimistic and like super sort of like galaxy brain, like philosophical type thinkers, and so you can expect a lot of that in this article. But like my personal takeaway is really like thinking about governance as like doing. We've talked a ton about this, right? This is like one of the reasons we're really excited about Joke DAO, but it's like instead of thinking of governance as sort of like a way to like stop things from happening, which is also a valuable form of governance. It's like, how can we use a blockchain to create a Schelling point for a bunch of people that are sort of like generally interested in the same thing, and then use DAO voting mechanisms to like iterate through new ideas and move forward, like fund them and move forward with them. And so like the idea of forking here is kind of like, okay, the way I would describe it is like, if you had 100 people in your DAO and you just started making proposals, and you maybe even use like something like Joke DAO or other primitives to be like, here's like several options we can have. You could sort of like have people align around their favorite proposals, and then a subset of them that don't like it can just reiterate, take the proposal they do like, basically like form a new DAO and or like a new proposal, fund that one, and then you just kind of like iterate through it. Actually, I talked about these kinds of mechanisms a ton with Alex Vandesanda from ENS, who I've already mentioned. That episode should be coming out pretty soon. That's kind of it's like a new vision of governance, right? Because we think of DAO governance like the Uniswap proposal, which we just talked about. It's like basically some people did a crap load of work behind the scenes, and then submitted a proposal that now everyone's going to have a knife fight over whether they approve or not. And this is just like a very different vision for what governance can be, right? What DAOs can be. It's more about like doing together permissionlessly. And I think that's certainly something I'm excited about.
Yeah, so this flows right into, you mentioned Joke DAO. Well, first, let me say, like, go read this article. It's an absolutely amazing article from, like you said, two of the best writers in the crypto space. So, or three of the best, but two guest writers in the crypto space. So go read that. We'll link that in the show notes as well. But that goes right into Joke DAO's collaboration with Not Boring, which is, kind of putting your money where your mouth is and actually using the primitive to collab with Not Boring. And Joke DAO, it has their tweet, if you're not watching, it says, "Our most exciting contest yet. Decide what Packy McCormick writes about next for his 142,000 readers. Anyone can submit a topic before noon Eastern today, voting for," and then it's the token that is used to vote on this Joke DAO contest. Closes at noon. So this is over, I believe, right? It already happened.
Yeah, it happened. I meant to participate, but didn't get around to it. It was really funny because Joke DAO recently launched like their open primitive, and somehow I think people started using it to try to like farm airdrops together or something, which is typical crypto. And like a bunch of bots and airdrop farmers got involved in this, and he almost had to write something like really random, I think. But then the internet came together to vote for something better. So anyway,
that's funny.
Yeah,
that's funny.
I don't know what won, but we'll find out in the next Not Boring article. So it should be fun.
Awesome. Cool. Yeah. Just interesting, like collision of worlds there. Okay, moving right along. Rapid fire. Seed Club. Talk a little about Seed Club. We have an interview Frisson did earlier this week with Jess Sloss from Seed Club. So a little bit of a plug here, but we really like what Seed Club's doing. Friends over there. Talk a little bit about this application. What is it for?
Nothing wrong with the little plug. DAO Talk is the plug for DAO stuff, so it makes sense.
That's right.
So Seed Club's 5th cohort is open for applications. Seed Club, I'm saying selling point too much, but has become a selling point for people that want to create Web3 communities. We've interviewed tons of Seed Club alum, great, like many fascinating organizations have come through there and are now involved in the network. So highly recommended if you're trying to start a tokenized community or a DAO or do something interesting with your friends on the internet. Definitely apply. Applications end August 15th. That's also when our interview with Jess is going to come out. So you can learn more as you're compiling your application at the last minute, like I'm sure some of you will do. And one of the things that's really interesting about Seed Club is like they're trying to build this sort of network of networks, and they have started distributing their tokens, which are called Club, in like a very thoughtful way. And they've kind of started creating this mechanism, even though they're not a DAO yet. Or maybe they are, depends on your definition of DAO. Where where alum of Seed Club get plugged back into the application process. And so they've actually built this like product that they use internally. I've forgotten what it's called already, but you can read about it like in this announcement on their website and blog and stuff, where it kind of makes it easy for like their past alum to be involved in and contribute to the cohort application process, which I think just like, yeah, falls in line with what we're talking about with Joke DAO, where it just creates more ways for people to kind of like engage with each other in this Web3 way to create. And so, yeah, lots of exciting things here. Looking forward to seeing who the next batch is coming through.
All right. We have our first, our second, if we don't count Dennison, Tally employee joining the DAO Talk podcast. Nicolas, welcome.
Hey guys, how are you? Thanks for having me.
Nicolas, what's up? Nicolas is an amazing Tally builder. Super stoked to talk to him about what he's doing and his thoughts on space. Yeah, it can only be, Tommy and I are pretty mid, so bringing on new Tally employees can only be an upgrade. So super stoked.
Exactly. Yes. So yeah, we are looking, or we want to highlight more builders in the space. So we figured why not start with, somewhere close to home. So we're bringing on some Tally employees, just to give us a quick overview of who they are, what they're passionate about, what they do for Tally. And hopefully that provides a little bit of insight into, more of the people building on the front line. So Nicolas, can you give us like a quick background of, who you are, what your skills are, and what you do for Tally, and then we'll kind of go into, what you're passionate about in the space and, what problems you think need to be fixed.
Yeah, sure. Okay, I am from Argentina, from the same land of Messi and Maradona, but I don't play soccer. Not very good. So I am a software engineering. I studied here in Argentina and spent my whole career working in technology. Of course, starting on the regular space, doing Java development, then I switched to web development. And since a couple of years, I started to work mostly on Web3 development. And I joined Tally this year just to help on improving the front-end experience of the space. So Web3 is great, but we need to provide a better user experience just to onboard not only tech user, not only a small number of users, but to make it more popular. So I joined in here to help to achieve this goal. I'm super happy to be working with this amazing team.
Yeah. So talk a little bit about, you talk about user experience. Would you say like that is one of your main passions in the Web3 crypto space?
Yeah. User experience is super important in many aspects, not only Web3. So we have seen a lot of great products with great technology, with great team behind that, but if they don't provide a simple user or good user experience, and they don't listen to the user, they don't test new stuff with the user, the product is not sure if it's going to fail, but for sure it's going to suffer. So especially here on this Web3 space that, for sometimes it's really confused. All the new technologies connect the wallet. So there are very, very big new stuff, similar to what was the web in the 90s, right? That the web in the 90s was confused for most of the people because we switched like the way we do the stuff. So I think we are like in this same phase on the Web3 space. So we need to provide better user experience, simple user experience, just to onboard not only the people with most technical stuff, technical knowledge, but to make it this more popular. Yeah, for sure, the great companies like Binance, Coinbase, they did a great job, but we need to do it more like in a decentralized way. So this is a very good transition. This is a very good companies that are doing great things to onboard people on this space. But I think we have the mission to make it still more simple to onboard more users in a more decentralized way. Yeah, this is unless my goal, or this is the thing that I think we have the mission to do it. Yeah, especially here on Tally that the DAO things is a really hot space, and we want to collaborate with the space to make a great tool.
Yeah, I think that's highlighted a lot across almost everyone that works at. I think everyone that works at Tally feels the same way. It's like, user experience and usability is a big part of how we grow the space and make the space, kind of supercharge and get better. Is we have to have a better user experience for literally everyone involved. And like, it's easy for those big, like you said, centralized companies, like Coinbase and Binance to do that because they're so large and they're centralized and, they're kind of contained within themselves. But, having, companies and individuals and cultural forces that are, pushing the focus of user experience and usability and composability forward in the the decentralized space is super important because, like you said, it's decentralized. So there's really no there is no centralized entity to like control or push, usability parameters. So it's up to the community to do that. So, that's why, I love working at Tally, and I think you would agree, like everyone kind of shares that same passion for, making the current, or growing the current ecosystem. And the way to do that is by, making it easier to onboard however many people we want to onboard in the future. So, talk a little bit about, what you're passionate about, maybe outside of your work for Tally and just like stuff either in crypto in general or just, life. Give us a little bit of insights into who you are, what you're passionate about. And, we just want to learn more about you. So.
Yeah, sure. I went to great stuff. So I guess since I was a child with my brother, we went like copying video games or board games. So I always feel excited about, have some ideas and make it real. So I try to do, of course, with technology is not easy, but it's my biggest skill. So I try to do this and especially here in Cali or in the space. I am a very, very quiet guy. I live in a small city with my girlfriend and two dogs, actually a dog and a cat. I have I love to live in this small city because I have all my family close, my friends close. I had the opportunity to work, travel a couple of times to US. I also worked in a couple of months in China. It was a great and interesting experience and in Europe. And in the past, I co-founded two companies. One is a digital agent that is still running, and then I co-founded other SaaS companies that got some funding but didn't work. Again, I like to create the stuff, so this is my passion. I like to have an idea in my mind and to try to make it real. For that reason, I love this crypto space because everything like is to be built, right? Again, I feel like it is like the web in the 90s. I was a child at that time, but it was like a big experiment with a lot of crazy ideas, with a lot of things to do. And for that reason, I feel excited about this space. And for example, here in Tally, the biggest challenge that I guess we have is that, we want to create a great experience. But sometimes to create a great experience, you look to the competitors, you look to the market, and you just try to see what things worked, what things didn't work. But the biggest problem here is that, we are creating new stuff. So there is nothing to copy, right? There is no place. So you cannot take anything on reference. So it is, okay, let's assume something. Let's try to implement it as fast as possible. Let's test with the user. Let's create some prototypes. Especially this. Test with the user, listen to the user, launch a couple of things, see if it works or not, measure this if it works or not. If it worked, cool, we learned something. If it didn't work, cool, we also learned something, but we need to fix it. So I like this thing, right? That just to be creating from scratch, right? You have this problem. Sometimes you don't know that you have a problem, right? But once you have a problem, you need to find a solution, and sometimes this solution is not simple to achieve. I feel excited about it. So for me, it's not the problem. It's a nice thing to work.
Yeah, it's a different style of work for sure. It's like a new frontier where like, it's completely up to you to kind of figure out the problem. There's not a lot of history to go off of. It's a lot of new work, which is exciting, but also, can be scary at times. But I think currently, at least, like everyone kind of shares that same, core characteristics that, we kind of are drawn to that excitement and that uncertainty around the work. But it's also super exciting because we feel like and I think we are creating something very, very, world changing in a way. But okay, let's talk a little bit about ETH LATAM, which is is that next week, right?
Yeah, ISRA DAM is next week. It's a big conference here in Buenos Aires. It's a 3 days conference with a lot of great speakers from Argentina and actually from Latin America. And yeah, there is a lot of excitement about it. So I was following the Twitter account. They released, I don't know, 1,000, 2,000 tickets, and in less than 1 minute, all the tickets are gone. So there's a real excitement here. Yeah, here in Argentina. Argentina like adopted crypto like a big thing. So for us, it's not only technology or fancy stuff, but it's a real solution. So in all the country, Argentina has an inflation in the last year about, I don't know, about 65% of inflation. So it's a lot.
Wow.
So the people, what usually do is buy US dollar, right? This is like our unofficial currency in Argentina. We have the peso that is the official currency, but we have US dollar. But we cannot buy more than $200 US. So crypto is a real solution, right? So Coinbase, Binance are really popular. There are a lot of startups that are starting here where you can buy crypto and you have a prepaid card. You can go to the supermarket and buy your stuff with Bitcoin. So it's amazing. And especially this excitement started, well, it's not started, but we have a very big moment that at the end of last year that Vitalik Buterin came here in Argentina, and everybody says that he feel like a rock star. Actually, he said that he feel like a rock star. So he was on the street and all the people appearing from every place, taking a picture. So, he's not he's not Mick Jagger, right? But he feel like that. So and about the ISRA DAM, it's next week. And we will be here with a couple of members of Tally. So we will keep you updated about what's happening in the sector.
Yeah, I think something we are fall victim to, Frisson, is like, everyone in the US kind of has their like thought pieces around like crypto, and everyone's like, oh, it's a scam. Oh, it doesn't work. Oh, there's no use case. But like, if you get outside the bubble of the United States and you and I think this is why these conferences outside of the United States are important and why they happen. You can see like, okay, crypto has real use cases and is making people's lives better, all around the world. It's just, you don't see it because, or we don't see it. Well, I see it, you see it because, we're in the space, but the masses don't see it because all they see is like NFT crypto scams and like, the cultural like grifters. Whereas, at its core, like you said, like Vitalik comes to Argentina and he's a rock star because he's creating new life for people, which is something I think is lost. And I think we definitely need to highlight more. And I think conferences like ISRA DAM and a lot of other initiatives are super important.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. For example, I live it when I travel, a month ago to DAO NYC. Yeah. I spent all the metro or buy a hamburger or whatever using one of the prepaid card that was generated by the startup here in Argentina. So I paid with US dollar, but with my Bitcoin, with my ETH.
That's awesome.
With my USDT. So it's amazing. Yeah. And it's working much better than a regular credit card. So it's amazing.
Awesome. Yeah. All right. Well, let's finish up with our go-to question for all of our guests. What is your favorite place to live, or what is your favorite place in the world? It sounds like it is Argentina, which is good. But if it's not, correct me if I'm wrong.
Argentina is my place. But I lived a couple of months before COVID in Spain with my girlfriend in Barcelona. So I love it. Barcelona, I love it. Spain. We both talk in Spanish, so I feel like an improved version of Argentina. So I probably Spain. If I need to switch to another country, probably Spain is the
Nico, Spain has a similar dialect, right, of Argentina as well. The Spanish, they use the vosotros. Is that right? Am I right on my Spanish?
Yeah, they use vosotros. Yeah, but we like changing. we changed a little bit of Spanish. I guess we improve it, but I don't I don't know if I should say that. But yeah. There is always with the Spanish, with the Spain, and with Italy, there is like a special relationship because at the very beginning of the previous century, because of the World War, a lot of people came from Spain and Italy from Argentina. So a lot of our grandparents are Italians or Spanish people. So for that reason, there is a big like connection between.
Man, those are some great countries too. Like I feel like Spain, Italy, Argentina, all amazing places.
Oh yeah,
a lot of history, amazing land. Hard to go wrong there.
Yeah. Well, Nicolas, thank you for joining DAO Talk. If people want to find you, is Twitter the best place to get in contact if they have like questions or are interested in following you?
Of course, they can find me on Twitter at Nico Tourne. And glad to meet people.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll tag you in the show notes. So if people want to, you should give them a follow. Go do that. But thanks for joining DAO Talk, and we'll see you in the Slack, my friend.
Yeah, that's right. Thanks, Nicolas.
Take care.
See ya. So we'll run through some quick Tally updates before we sign off. Tally had a massive front page update this week. Speeds are off the charts. Truly, I know we are the marketers, so we have to kind of like talk like that, but truly it is an absolutely amazing upgrade to the front page. Here it is if you want to see it. Updated graphics, updated some of the UX UI.
Dude, just refresh it, bro.
Most importantly,
let's just watch the speed.
Yeah, let's watch.
Boom. So if you're a Tally user, which I think a lot of people in the space are, this is crazy. Like you used to get a Tally, it was like you'd be like it would load the media, like the static media, and then all the DAO data would just be like loading, because we're like pulling in updated indexed on-chain data. And another amazing tallier named Nico, different Nico, we kind of rebuilt the front end, so it pulled in all the data, that DAO data, like it's static data. I'm gonna stop saying technical words now, and it's super fast, the homepage and the DAO pages, so huge UX like quality of life improvement here.
Yeah, something I was explaining this to some of my normie friends because they asked me about my work, and I was telling them like, oh, this is like a really big thing that happened with Tally this week. And it's like, with speed of loading, it's not really something, I think people take it for granted. You don't really think about the speed of loading or a page until it stops working or it's slower. Like when your data, for me, like this week, gets throttled and you're like, oh shit, like when it's slow, like my quality of life, not necessarily quality of life, of like my experience on the internet is much worse because you're so used to like super high quality speeds. So this update has been pretty awesome, especially because the front page is primarily where people are going. So really awesome work from our team there. We had a really good article come out of the Content Guild on quadratic voting, which is a pretty complicated subject and something we talk a lot about in regards to, like different forms of governance and one token, one vote, soulbound tokens, etc. Quadratic voting is an idea that was, I don't know if it was created by Vitalik, but it was popularized by Vitalik as a solution to, one token, one vote, and fixing a lot of those issues. So we won't talk too much about, what that means, but go check that out on the Tally Twitter and the Tally blog. We have that out, and then that kind of flows right into Tally Content Guild, which is not Tally Content Guild. It is the Content Guild, with Tally currently funding it and running, trying to get that off the ground. Tally Content Guild. Oh God, see, I'm slipping every time. The Content Guild is something we've mentioned before in previous podcasts. It is Frisson's kind of brainchild, and we are getting it off the ground, but it is a way for, content in the DAO space to, that's a horrible explanation. Frisson, just give us a little, like a couple sentences of like what the Content Guild is, and I'll pull up.
I'm going to drop this Content Guild bomb, and then I'm going to bounce because I got to go talk with Dennison. Been quite the morning. So, Content Guild. Yeah. it's a way for DAO contributors, builders, practitioners who also like to write, make videos, record other types of content. It's a way for them to support each other, right? And so Tally is kind of funding a lot of this work, like the Quadratic Voting guide that we just showed off. And so Tally's doing some funding, and we're kind of trying to put that into a DAO structure and help, all these kind of up and coming DAO contributors take the time to kind of write out what they're learning and share it with the rest of the space. And we're trying to slowly sort of turn this into a self-sustaining entity. So right now it's just Tally kind of like funding these articles one-off, but we're trying to sort of like over time move it into a DAO structure where we bring in kind of some of the top contributors, help them, allow them to start guiding the project, and then eventually kind of bring other content publishers into the mix, more writers, editors, and create an ecosystem where it's kind of a self-sustaining, network of DAO content, educational content production. So that's the big vision. Super stoked. I think Tally building DAOs on Tally is really important, and really excited to work with y'all on this. And yeah, it's been an amazing episode of DAO Talk, and good to see you, Tommy, and I'm out.
All right, Frisson, goodbye. I'll end this podcast for us all. So if you are interested in getting involved in anything, with the Content Guild, with Tally, with just, getting more involved in the DAO space, go follow Tally at Tally XYZ. We're going to have a little more structure in regards to DAO Talk homepage, website, places to get involved. Otherwise, just keep looking in the show notes for any links. We have the DAO Talk Substack, which is this podcast just in written form. So if you are getting tired of listening to our voices, or just want something that's a little bit easier to digest instead of listening to a 45, 50-minute podcast, go subscribe at daotalk.substack.com. It'll be up on our Twitter as well. Otherwise, we will see you on Twitter and in Discord and in the metaverse. I hate that I have to say that because it sounds so cheesy, but peace.